And here we are. My question for you is, are you already planning your book launch or have you already launched your book? Either way, you are in the right place to hear about exciting ways of celebrating. Hello and welcome. My name is Sigrid Cast and I'm the high impact, high profit book writing, publishing and marketing specialist. And I have invited certified life celebrant Connie Kobylko. Hello, Connie.
Hello, Sigrid. So great to be here today.
I am excited to have you today to ask you lots of questions around celebrations. Now, with women in particular, we often don't see the important moments as important. It is that we want to celebrate only what we have been told from times before that are important stages and things, but there's so much more to it. Connie, first of all, I'm really interested. How did you come to be a life celebrant? That is such an exciting description in itself. Tell us a bit about that.
Thank you, Sigrid. I became a certified life celebrant after being immersed in the funeral industry and seeing how many people who have had their end of life not really be honored. We all have a story. Every moment in life creates a memory, and all those memories become such a big part of our journey. And I really think that our story always needs to be shared. What we do in life is our legacy, and it needs to be celebrated. In my role as a life celebrant, I have the beautiful privilege and honor of walking alongside families who have lost a loved one. And when I meet with them to do the design work of the memorial service, I get to gather as many stories as I can of their loved one. And I weave their qualities into the service that I write. So it truly is a celebration of their life. I bring their legacy to life, and their story then lives on, much like a storybook. The story does live on.
Absolutely. You've just touched on something. So if we're thinking about this momentum at the end of someone's life, and I mean, that is a big celebration for most people. I've heard people say that that really gives them closure to have that. And I agree with you. It is something to celebrate rather than to show your mourning at that stage. But the celebration in what the person has left behind is important to me. For example, with my mom, I did that and I did it as an online event because most of the family is in other countries rather than here where mom was with me at the time. And that celebratory component is just, it leaves you with that beautiful memory of the person and even the moment. So I really love that you're doing it in that way from what you're describing. And you are doing both online, don't you, as well as in person, Connie? Is that correct?
Most of my services are done in person.
Right.
Uh, do have to say that because families now don't always live within proximity of one another, quite often we do virtual life celebrations or memorials as well too, so that this way everyone is coming together as one and honoring that journey because life really is meant to be remembered, honored, and celebrated.
Absolutely. And I just was taken to when we had a talk before, when we had a chat around the importance of elevating ourselves through celebration. And I mean, that goes for any person in the world, anywhere. But as women in particular, often we are bringing others forth and we're letting others shine. And we kind of hide ourselves in some cases quite a lot. So, when a woman finally decides to put that wisdom, that message, or the life story itself into a book, for example, which is what I see a lot, and they go through that journey of bringing it all together, coming to that launch date, which for some, the launch day is a great celebration, but it often is a kind of an end to it all. And yet, knowing the work you do to celebrate various stages or any opportunity to celebrate, you have ideas to take it into life down the track with a book, for example. Are you able to share a couple of ideas around that, please, with our listeners?
I would so love to. Too often we think of events as being the culmination of a big celebration and then it has to stop. But that's not the case. If I were to take a book launch for an example, yes, let's have that launch. Let's celebrate how that book came to be. Let's promote it. But the book does not have an ending at that point. It's as though you are birthing a child. You've given it life. Now, where does that go from there? Let's follow the journey of that book and celebrate where it has been, the hands that it has touched, the lives that it has touched. And so we really need to embark on the rest of that book's journey. So when I've dealt with authors, for instance, we don't stop at the book launch. Let's revisit this 6 months or a year down the road and let's celebrate what the book has done, the milestones that it has created, and the story that follows along with it. Books have such a beautiful way of touching our hearts. They don't have an ending, they have a heartbeat that continues. That's the beauty of a book.
And it is so powerful when you say that it is a story in itself, that journey to having come to the publishing point in the first place. I think that often is not fully celebrated and shared at the launches that I have seen, and that often people are directed to offer. So the celebratory component of that really can elevate not only the author and how they feel about their book and how they share it, but it gives a much deeper insight into the person and that journey for the audience, the people that are listening to it. And it may stimulate them not only to want to read the book, but also to perhaps take it further, to connect with the author, and perhaps to even write their own book, which is another beautiful stage for people to be in. The other great piece that you've just shared around milestones, this is such an important part that you touched on. Some authors down the track at some point in time kind of do an update with their book, and that is the only moment that they might again mention their book. But I have not seen many to celebrate that in a kind of a, not even a relaunch, but just a celebration of having that book. And I love the idea of celebrating at a stage what the book has done for some of the people that have read it. That could be a great coming together of the author and you creating such a moment for them. Does it take a lot of detail to bring something together for you?
In my role as a celebrant and ceremony stylist, I work with everybody on an individual basis because we are all unique, just as is a book. We all have our own uniqueness, our own story. And so, what I do is I custom design elements of ceremony that really reflect the author, that reflect the book, the way that it's touched upon people, whether it's locally, globally. So there's a lot of different details that go into the acts of creating another ceremony, but very heartfelt and personalized. And it is the very same when I'm doing an end of life memorial or a celebration of life for an individual. We're not the same people. Every service that I do, I'm gathering the uniqueness, the stories of that person's journey, and we design something that really is a reflection of the person that we're honoring, which then leads me into life's moments. So often we don't let beautiful moments shine. We don't bring them to the spotlight. I think we've become a society that no longer has a lot of tradition. We don't celebrate milestone moments the way that I think we should. And I really want us to start looking beyond the obvious occasions. Yes, we celebrate birthdays, Christmas, retirements, graduations, but there are other moments that I think we need to let our inner light shine a little brighter. What about the first moments, like the first date that a couple has had? Why not re-celebrate that? Because that in itself has created a life journey. It could be overcoming a major health issue. Let's celebrate that. Let's not just say, "Oh, I'm so glad you're feeling better," but let's have people come together and be a part of it. We were meant to be connected with one another. And that's what the celebration and the ceremonies do is they bring people together. Some of these little non-monumental dates, for instance, could be brand new traditions that you start within your family. You could have a just because gathering and celebrate one another and our own uniqueness. That's so important.
And I think the great thing is that when there is a live celebrant like yourselves, part or the creator of bringing that together for us, it does make it, first of all, more special. And from what I'm hearing is you really are drawing out what that moment is about, because we ourselves, as I said before, we sometimes don't realize that at all. And therefore, we are not actually dismissing it, but we are certainly not bringing the power to it that we really could. I like how you described the stages of life. I mean, it starts usually for us here with birth. And what came to mind for me was we are living in this global world where we are mixing together, or certainly coming together with other cultures, and how each culture celebrates their own special moments. I think the uniqueness is here that we have the opportunity to bring different cultures together in a celebration of those moments, whether that is the birth of a new child into this world, or whether it is perhaps a very special birthday. I do know, for example, from friendships with people from El Salvador, for example, they really do celebrate the 15th birthday of a girl. That's a very special time for their lives. And not all other cultures do that. So that's already something another culture like my own can take away and bring into the lives of myself, my family, and friends around, for example. So knowing that those things are out there and moments celebrated, that just because we don't know about it doesn't mean we couldn't take that on board. Now let's bring that back into the book writing journey, for example. There are so many moments that you've already pointed out that could really make a difference, and we can very much come away from that traditional way of having a book launch just at the start of the publishing moment. But we could also take that down the track into other areas. And particularly when you mention that you are really focusing on the person and what that book is about and what it has meant for the author, bringing that out and celebrating and highlighting that, I think that is really excellent for you, not to have a kind of a one size fits all approach, but to be so very customized into the life and the journey of that person. Connie, you're offering a variety of opportunities for us to celebrate. Give us, in sort of towards conclusion, give us a bit of an idea of how people can approach you and what's the best way or a starting point for you that you'd like to offer.
Okay. Well, I'd love to offer all of our listeners today a complimentary 20-minute celebration call. And what that entails is the opportunity for me to open up, say, some possibilities for you to think about. I really do find that often we don't let our inner light shine, or we don't let it shine enough. And is that maybe because we're not feeling that we have a monumental moment to celebrate? Well, I think that comes from having limiting fears and beliefs, or sometimes people perceive that they may be too much, right? Am I bragging if I have a celebration? In my role as a life celebrant, I've heard from too many families too often. They say, we waited too long. We were going to have this event and we didn't, and life was cut short, right? Or we should have done this and we didn't. So, what I want to encourage is for all of us to live our best lives. Let's be our most authentic selves and let's shine our light from within and find moments to celebrate. So, I'd love to offer a complimentary 20-minute celebratory call. Let's open up some doors and see where we can start designing aspects of ceremony into your world. It could be something on a personal or a professional level. I have lots of ideas that I would love to share, and I would love to embark on a journey with each and every one of you. And let's remember, let's honor, and let's celebrate.
Absolutely fantastic. That's a very generous offer. And I could imagine the ideas coming through just from knowing you as far as I know you at this point in time and what you've shared right here in this video with us today. It is just beautiful. So many things we ourselves don't think about in the way you probably can see and highlight them and then bring them down to what the uniqueness of the person, the family, or the business or the book might be. That is absolutely wonderful. So we'll have that open for people to be able to connect with you on that. I really appreciate you sharing these ideas with us outside of what we normally understand a celebrant does. You are a life celebrant. I like that additional component of life, all of our life. It's been really exciting talking to you. Thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to perhaps seeing more or speaking with you more on individual scenarios of celebration. Thank you, Connie.
Thank you, Sigrid. This has been incredible.